Our first question today comes from Dara in Springdale. Dara says, my dad passed away recently, and he had multiple retirement accounts through different companies. Between that, a home, and other assets, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I don't know what to do with it all. Dara, we can absolutely appreciate that. She asked, how do I simplify this to help myself and while making sure that I'm still being a good steward of what he left me? I am 47 with a 53-year-old spouse. Janet, Dara is not unlike virtually anyone in that age range who has lost a parent, and now they're having to deal with the aftermath. And this is a huge picture that some people really do have a hard time with.
I would absolutely agree, and we're going to start on this answer for Dara with really some additional questions. We'll try to give you some direction, but there is one question that we really we need a little bit more information on. When you say that your dad had multiple retirement accounts, we would benefit from knowing if those retirement accounts were actually retirement accounts in the mind of the IRS, meaning things like a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, a 401k, 403b, those types of things, or if it was money that your dad had put aside that he was going to utilize for retirement, but not through something that gets special tax treatment from the IRS because they label it as a retirement account, because that seems a little bit nitpicky. But the answer and the details on this definitely are dependent upon whether these are officially retirement accounts. So, John, let's talk first about, let's assume that they are officially retirement accounts and answer in that direction. What does that look like?
Well, first thing is, Dara, as a beneficiary of a non-spouse beneficiary, I should say, of your father's retirement account, you will fall under what is called the Secure Act. And the Secure Act, as it applies to this situation, really does force you to think long-term about this money, because you have a situation under the Secure Act that you must take required minimum distributions over the next 10 years. Now, what you also have to understand is that the Secure Act requires that retirement account be fully depleted at the end of 10 years. Now, you're not forced to actually take those distributions over 10 years. If you wanted to, you could make a distribution in year one. But you have to understand the tax consequences of that. All of this money is fully taxable to you. So it's going to sit right on top of whatever income you and your spouse may have coming in right now. And what happens in this, Janet, is kind of insidious, in my opinion. I think Congress knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
They set this up where these distributions become available to people who are likely going to be in their highest earning years. So if you think about it, that you're already maybe in the 22% tax bracket and you get a big lump sum distribution, then all of a sudden you're in a 35% tax bracket on that distribution.
Right.
And so you're ending up paying a higher level of taxes than you would otherwise on a distribution from a retirement account.
So a couple of things that I want to be sure that we're clear on. When we talk about this being depleted by the end of year 10, that is only with the IRA label still on it. So what we would have you do, let's say that it's $500,000 that we're talking about. That $500,000, maybe you withdraw $50,000 a year plus whatever growth it has while it's invested, but you withdraw 1/10 of it the first year, 1/9 the second year, 1/8, etc., and you expose that $50,000 to taxes, and then you reinvest the rest of that money. So you've not depleted it as in running out of money, but you've gotten it exposed to the taxes during that time period.
Yes, and what you do with that after-tax money really is going to make a huge difference as far as your future is concerned. And you spoke about honoring your father and being a good steward with what he left me. I think one of the things that you've got to think about in this is, what would your father have you do with this? Maybe you had some conversations with him about, how this money is going to play out in your life. Maybe he wanted to be sure that you were secure in your retirement and didn't really count on this whole Secure Act coming into play that said you had to take it out of the retirement account. More than likely, when he put this money into the retirement account and was thinking about a beneficiary, the beneficiary could stretch that over the course of their entire lifetime. Those rules have changed, but that doesn't mean that the intent of the money has to change. So, Janet, what does that look like if we have paid taxes on that hypothetical $50,000 distribution? Let's say I have $40,000 of net money. Then what? How do I actually use that for my future retirement now that it's out of a retirement account?
So you've got several options, and really it would probably be a combination of several of these elements. But the first thing that we would want to do is look at whether or not you are on track for your financial independence. And there's a lot of different elements to consider in that. Like, do you have debt? The mortgage is one conversation on debt, but everything else is another conversation. So is there debt that we need to help you eliminate? Are you on track as far as your retirement contributions personally? So putting money toward your 401k or other corporate retirement plan that might receive a match, and or contributing to a traditional or a Roth IRA. Once this money comes into play, you're probably not eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA, depending on what your details were, before this money came into play. But in all likelihood, we can't do a direct contribution to a Roth anymore, but we could still continue to contribute to your retirement. And just going on down the line of your financial, your steps to financial independence, and going, where does this money need to be used? And then keeping in mind what was important to your dad. So things like if you and your husband have children, these are the grandchildren of your dad. This money came from their grandfather. Did he at any point say, now, honey, I really want you to be sure that the kids get a good education? Was there any conversation like that? Did he talk about gifting? Anything along those lines where you want to honor what conversations that you had with your dad about his desire for this? But I would also say that even if it's not verbalized, a very strong desire of every parent I've known is for their children, their adult children, to be financially independent. So that's on the list along with anything else that you guys might have talked about.